Welcome to the fight world. There's always something going on in the MMA, and we're here to bring the latest in this ever-evolving sport. Before we dive in, take a second to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest fight news. And with that, let's get to it. Francis Ngannou's coach said the doctor recommended he pull out of his heavyweight title fight due to a knee injury. Cameroon native Francis Ngannou took care of business this past weekend at UFC 270, beating his former teammate Cyril Gane, who was coached by his former trainer Fernand Lopez to retain the undisputed UFC heavyweight title. The way in which he did it, however, it shocked many fight fans, as he took Gane down multiple times and held him down for a good portion of the championship rounds, sealing his victory in the eyes of the judges, who gave him a unanimous decision win. During the post-fight press interview, Ngannou revealed he had suffered a tough knee injury weeks before the fight, and it was a touch and go for the last week to see if he would even be able to step into the octagon. The big man battled through and delivered an amazing performance despite his injury. But now his coach at Extreme Couture, Eric Nixick, is revealing more details about the injury itself. While on the MMA Junkie Radio this week, Nixick revealed that the injury took place while sparring about 2.5 weeks prior to the title fight. Upon doctor inspection, they learned it was a full MCL tear, with some damage to the ACL as well. While Nixick and his coaches advised Ngannou to pull out, Francis disagreed. Later on, they got a second opinion, and this is what he said.
We got word from a second opinion doctor out here in LA that he was adamant that Francis should pull out. He thought that he could ultimately lose, a year and a half to 2 years after a full knee reconstruction if that leg would have gone wrong, something would have gone wrong. In
an interview, Nixick also said that despite the injury, Ngannou never had any doubt in his mind that he was going to enter the fight, or that there was too much on the line. A contract dispute with the UFC, a war of words with his former trainer, the fact that Vegas put him as a betting underdog, Ngannou was adamant about making sure he was able to fight. Nixick says he trusted Ngannou to make the right decision, and fully supported him to make the fight, which he ultimately won, against all odds. Right now, Ngannou is on his way to get treatment on his knee, and is expected to be out for quite some time as he heals from likely surgery. What do you think about the doctor adamant that Ngannou not fight, and a champion going in there anyway? After Dana White snubs Francis Ngannou following his big win, Sean O'Malley offers his reaction. After Francis Ngannou defeated Cyril Gane in his past weekend's main event for UFC 270, the man who put the UFC heavyweight title around the big man's waist was not UFC president Dana White, as is tradition. In fact, White didn't even show up to the post-fight press conference following the events in Anaheim, California, something he almost always does, to speak with the media and announce the performance of night bonuses and provide details about the show. Many people are speculating that this is due to his beef with Ngannou over a potential new UFC contract. To briefly sum up, after Ngannou had won the heavyweight title in March of last year following his KO of Stipe Miocic, Ngannou had asked for more money for his first title defense. The UFC, in response, created an interim heavyweight title fight just a few months later between Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane, which Gane won. This culminated into his past weekend's heavyweight title unification fight. Prior to the fight, Ngannou said he wanted to renegotiate his deal for not only more money, but more fights and a chance to fight boxing outside of the promotion. Needless to say, Dana White scoffed at the idea. On Saturday night, Ngannou's hand was raised and White was nowhere to be found. Now, days later, surging bantamweight and fan favorite Sugar Sean O'Malley is weighing in on the drama. And on the Timbo Sugar Show podcast, he said this.
Dana didn't even put the belt around him, apparently. I went to bed. I didn't even... What do you think? I mean, dude, he's the boss. He's the man. You're going to talk shit about the whole company. And I get it. I'm just saying. Dana didn't put the belt around. I bet Francis honestly probably didn't give a fuck, though.
Ngannou didn't outright express how he feels about White not being the one placing the belt around him, or failing to show up to the post-fight press conference. But it is interesting to see other fighters' takes on what is happening behind the scene. That is now spilling out into the public sphere for the world to see and speculate. What do you think about Dana White leaving the arena after Ngannou's win? What do you think about Sean O'Malley's take here? And how do you think Francis feels about the whole thing? Dan Hooker continues trash-talking John Jones. Says he will fight him in the parking lot. The online war of words between Dan Hooker and John Jones that piqued the interest of the fight world back in December is once again back in the news, after a recent interview between Hooker and the All-Star. First, a little backstory. John Jones was arrested for domestic battery in September in Las Vegas, allegedly against his wife. Former UFC contender Chael Sonnen reacted to it with some harsh words for Jones. Then in mid-December, Sonnen himself was hit with 5 battery citations for allegedly being part of a hotel brawl, also a hotel in Las Vegas. Immediately after that incident hit the newswires and details were yet to be revealed, Jones responded by saying he wouldn't kick a man when he was down and that he's nothing like Sonnen. Days later, details of Sonnen's arrest showed that he got into a fight after a man and woman were repeatedly talking bullcrap about Sonnen's wife, and he responded with his fists, defending his wife's honor. Then days after that, Dan Hooker chimed in and said this: "Imagine beating up 5 people, and not one of them is your wife." Which Jones responded to, but then later deleted. And this is what Hooker later responded to Jones with: "Life hack. If you don't beat up your wife, family events will be more enjoyable. Merry Christmas, bitch." Then, in response again to a since-deleted tweet by Jones, this is what Hooker said: "I was triggered by your disingenuous attempt to bring attention to Chael's situation. He was arrested for defending his wife. You were arrested for assaulting yours. Apples and oranges." It's been weeks since this was addressed. But in an interview with the All-Star this week, Hooker was asked about the whole situation. And while saying that he doesn't actually have any ill feelings towards Jones, he also said this:
"Would we ever fight? Like, no, this is a fight would never make sense. Would I fight him in the car park? If he had a problem with me, of course I would oblige. I would never insult someone and not give them the opportunity to punch me in the face. That's an entirely different discussion. But do I harbor any ill will towards John Jones? Nah, definitely not."
As for Jones, he hasn't touched this subject since he responded to Hooker with those since-deleted tweets back in December. As for the domestic battery charge, the whole thing was dismissed by a Nevada court in late November. But what do you think about Hooker's statements here? Thanks so much for joining us here today to get caught up with the latest fight news. Let us know what you think in the comments. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to stay updated on all things MMA. See you next time.